760 KFMB. Turn up the love. Turn up the real estate love. You're listening to Love Real Estate. I am your host, Sandra Love. Co-hosting with me today, Deja Correa with San Diego Funding. Now, if you're a first-time home buyer, maybe you want to list your home or simply want to find out what your home is worth, give me a call right now. Write this number down, 888-571-9595, 888-571-9595. I actually had a caller call Deja, and she said, Sandra, you've been telling me to call and call. I finally did it. Let's sit down. We had an appointment. We sat down in our Mission Hills office. She's getting ready to list her home. She almost fell off the chair. There's over $300,000 in equity in her home. And she was like, oh my gosh.
It's like winning the lottery.
Yeah. She's like, is this a good time to sell? And I'm like, what do you think? Do you want to sell? And she said, absolutely. I'm so happy for her. She's,
great.
Retiring, and she's actually moving in to take care of her mom. And she's just so happy. She was so elated. She couldn't believe that was there. It's amazing.
It's a nice little retirement surprise for her.
Oh, absolutely. She had no idea. I'm so happy for her. Okay, so you know what? Let's go ahead and talk to Ron Bedell. He is the president of Pacific Horizon Financial. Thank you so much, Ron, for joining us today.
Well, thank you, Sandra. It's great to be here.
And talking about what you do, why don't you go ahead? I was going to read this big, paragraph on here, and I was just, during the break, I was like, I can't see. I need to bring glasses. But instead of reading this, tell us a little bit about your background.
I went to the Ohio State University, got a degree in aeronautical engineering, and from there went into the Navy at the end of the Vietnam War, served as a naval officer there.
Well, thank you. Thank you for your service.
You're welcome. Then, after that, I formed Pacific Horizon Properties, which is not financial, but properties, and I started in San Diego as a property manager and a small income property broker. And so we did some development, brokerage, management, just about everything there was to do with small income properties. And then in 1989, transferred into lending more full-time.
So is that how Pacific Horizons Financial began? And, just that story of, okay, you started with property management and you decided, let's go ahead and form a group, or how did that begin?
It evolved because in 1986 there was a tax act passed that changed the shelter that real estate would give, and I couldn't understand why people would buy it after that unless the price is corrected. But they did for another 3 years, and so for 3 years I kind of sat on the sidelines waiting. And then in 1989 I said, I think it makes more sense to go into these properties at 65% of value with the loan than it does to go at 100% with a purchase. And that turned out to be true because in 1990 the market started down pretty heavily.
Yeah, I think it's, we all have been saying the real estate market really is cyclical. It goes up and it goes down, it goes up and it goes down. And, a lot of times we're thinking, okay, do I jump in? Do I time it? What happens? Just as Deja said earlier, timing is your timing. Right. Timing is your timing, and options are your options. So if you want to reach out to Pacific Horizon Financial and, have private money, it's there. We're seeing a lot of fixer-flipper lender type of homes come up in the market. And, Ron, as you've seen, in some of the communities, sometimes it's the only way to go. And I know RBD, you've worked with RBD Ventures. And can you tell me a little bit about that relationship?
Yeah, that was a great relationship. Roger, Dustin, and Brian had come in very early when they were just getting started, and they didn't have too much real estate experience, but Dustin had been a contractor, but they had a lot of energy, and basically they just went out and did it. And we did a dozen or more homes for them. We had finally evolved into setting up a line of credit, which was enabled them to use some of the equity in the homes that they had already finished but not sold. That allowed them to get rid of their equity partners that were charging them so much money. So in effect, by collateralizing everything that they had, then we were able to give them cheaper money. And so that was helpful to them, and they did a great job, and they're continuing on today to do so.
It's amazing because, we had, actually I've had Roger on a couple of times, and just most recently we had Brian. And, he did say that. He goes, man, it was amazing. And these guys have just hit the ground running. And I asked him privately, what was, what's the story? What was your first help, I would say, extended their hand out to you? And they actually said Horizon, you guys did. So thank you so much, because they are just like hitting the ground like there's no tomorrow. And I'm getting questions like, well, I want to do that. How do I do that? And you and I have talked about maybe doing a class and, getting something together for our listeners. But before we go into that, let me ask you, now Pacific Horizon Financial is a private money lender. What's the difference between private money and hard money?
Basically just a nuance. It's all private money, but hard money is an older term. And we like to use the word private money because it's a conscious movement to educate the public. It's not very, very high rates. It's not, terrible. It's not if you have horrible credit. What we do is we're able to act quickly and customize loans to people to meet their needs. And so very often we have good rates, good borrowers, and they just have an opportunity that they need to pounce on. And so we're able to provide that for them.
Perfect. I love it. I love it because it is all about the opportunity. If you're a listener out there and you're thinking, man, how do I get in touch with Pacific Horizon Financial? I want to, get involved with that. I'm thinking about buying something and maybe flipping it just like RBD Ventures did. And man, oh my gosh, these guys, RBD has almost hit the 200 home mark. Almost. Amazing. Amazing.
It was funny. I was talking to Brian after the show that he was on, and I want to say something that he said. He said, Deja, when you were talking, I wish I would have said that when we're selling our properties, we love VA offers. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking, without the financing that you provide, that we're able to, these investors are able to purchase these properties. These properties would not be available to a large part of the community. So these developers and fixer flippers are doing an amazing thing for our community to rebuild our housing market.
Yeah, I love it. I think that's great. And just to be able, like I said, they do VAs. They love VAs. And
they love VA offers. Yeah, they love to take them. Yeah. So they use the private equity money and then, they're able to purchase the property, fix it up, and put our service members in there. I think it's pretty cool.
Deja, we have the PH no-no.
The PH.
Wonderful. I love it.
We started out with the PH no-no. Okay. Then the fixer flipper comes in, takes care of it, and then you can take it out with the VA no-no.
I love it. PH no-no, and now it's, a VA no-no.
We have the whole complete package here in the studio.
Yeah, and so if we have listeners out there who are thinking, I want to do that, I want to reach out to, to Ron and his team, and Horizon Financial is, like I said, Pacific Horizon Financial is a private lender. They're so accessible. They are so friendly. They're so hands-on. Write this number down, 888-571-9595, 888-571-9595. I will put you in touch with these guys. Now, another question is, maybe you guys are thinking, well, Sandra, what's the difference between getting a loan from them and a traditional lender? So if a listener's out there wondering that, Ron, what would you say to our listener?
Well, it's much easier. The banks are hamstrung these days. I mean, it used to be hard enough. Today it's worse with the new Dodd-Frank regulations. And typically people don't have time, just as we've heard before from Don, how fast you have to move to get these properties. The same thing exists when the investors are competing for them. And so they go in strictly with all cash offers. And they've been pre-approved by us, and then that's how they're able to secure these properties. And sometimes they're substantially over what the list price is. They almost get auctioned. And depending on how much of a renovation they're going to do, it really can make a difference in what that final value is. So it takes a little bit of work. You don't have time for an appraisal. We have to go out and figure out what that home is worth. Afterwards, we have to basically make them a purchase and construction loan.
I love it. And, it's, I wish that our listeners could see, because all through what Don was saying, we're all nodding our heads, and it's absolutely true. A lot of times I know that as an agent, and, I'm sure, Dan, you can agree with me, if we have an offer, that it's an all cash offer and it can close quickly. And sometimes these listings, if we take them and there are foundation issues or structure issues, or you just can't have any kind of FHA or VA or conventional, it wouldn't work. To be able to, to reach out to strong, solid private money lenders, I love that, and to be able to do what RBD is doing. And Dan, you did some of this work.